Hi, this is John from Sharp Mountain Games, and today we're going to review Part 4 of Spelljammer Academy, right after the intro. So here's Chapter 4 of Spelljammer Academy, and it's entitled Behold Hakatha, and I hope I'm saying that right. So again, this is a free adventure. It's on D&D Beyond, which is also free to join. So you really have nothing to lose by checking it out. So we have this very, very nice cover image here. Although they're going to actually, the PCs will be coming in on a beholder ship rather than a ship with a deck quite like this. But still, it's a beautiful image. And you can see this is Hakatha. It's kind of a water Discworld. So you get both a Kevin Costner movie and a Terry Pratchett novel-inspired world here. And it has this great island or spire that sticks out of it. And that's where the characters are going to be going. So I should mention there will be spoilers ahead. If you plan on being a player in this setting, you may not want to listen to this. If you're going to DM it, then you're good to go. So it recommends 3 to 7 4th level characters. And if you go through this adventure, your characters will be 4th level at this point if they've gone through the previous 3 chapters. It's interesting to me that you just do basically 1 chapter and you level up. Now, I come from an old school background, and this seems very quick to me. However, I wonder if they're not moving more in this direction, figuring, hey, campaigns maybe don't last for years and years anymore. So, 1 session or 1 adventure, and then you level up. 20 adventures, that might seem about right for a campaign. I don't know, that's just some speculation. So let's talk about what they're going to do. They're tasked with retrieving a meteorite from, it says the planet, the Discworld, Hakatha. And this is a planet of beholders. So let's see how they weave that in, because beholders would be very, very tricky for, I think, 4th level characters here. So they're going to first be going to what's called the Spindle, which is that great spire that's on Hakatha. And a meteorite crashed there somewhere near the base. So I think the idea is, well, you're getting to the base, get the meteorite, and get out. And they give them, here's a nice image of a bag of holding that they can use to put the meteorite in. So they're going to be traveling there. They travel there with a couple of people from the academy. The elf person here is the Spelljammer on the helm, and then we have a Hadozi who's their commanding officer, but they don't go onto the planet with them. So there's not a lot of, in this adventure, like flying and battling through space, at least initially here. So basically they get sent down to the site where to find the meteorite, and it's supposed to be on the beach, and of course it's not there. But they find these footprints, which suggests they go into a cavern. So here's our cavern, and it's kind of like a mini dungeon. Although I would say this, there's really only 1 room. And it's also not clear to me on this picture exactly where they came in from. I might have to read in the text a little bit better. So I believe this is supposed to be the meteorite right here in the center. Now there's our map if you want to call it up. It's black and white, but you could copy it. You could color it in your favorite painting program if you wanted, if you were going to use it, say, in Roll20, or you wanted to print out a color map for your players. Now, who's in there? In there are not beholders. As I said, I think that would be very, very tricky for lower level characters. There are 2 spectators and 6 gazers. So here's a spectator. They're kind of beholder kin. So they don't have as many death rays, and they're not quite as strong as a beholder is. And there's also an ogre in there. And the ogre is the one who brought the meteorite in there, and he's guarding it before he takes it back to the beholder that he works for. Now, the gazers are much smaller, and they don't really take part. They're just kind of there for set dressing. I think it describes them as about the size of a grapefruit. And these 2 spectators are arguing over who should guard the orb. And the ogre is there as well. So these spectators, it seems like they're kind of like busybodies. They just showed up and they want to argue over who should guard the orb. So there's a few ways to approach this. Players could come in and just automatically go into combat, But the wiser thing to do might be to try to mediate the discussion. So they can come in and the spectators want the characters to choose a guardian for the meteorite. And it gives them a chance to talk and maybe make some charisma persuasion checks. And they can even decide to try to say, well, the ogre found it. Maybe he should be the one to guard it. I guess he's not too bright. So there is a chance for some role-playing here rather than just straight-up combat, which is nice. And in fact, if they can convince the ogre to guard it, apparently he falls asleep and they can just easily take the meteorite. Now, one thing I would say is if they go that route, I think that's great. But then maybe on the way out, maybe one of the spectators tries to ambush them just to give them a little chance for some action and some combat as well. Maybe not both spectators, you could make it a little bit easier, or the ogre wakes up in the middle of it, that there's a possibility. Just maybe to put some combat in here. And I don't think that would be deadly for a 4th level group of players, but, give them some fun, give them some action. Now, there is, of course, a possibility that just combat happens anyway and they have to fight. Then they take it back to the ship in the bag of holding. And then they get a few days of rest, which is good because then they'll get all their hit points back. And they get interrupted by some pirates. And the main pirate is riding this Star Lancer. This pirate comes and he attacks the vessel. And he's riding kind of on this flying star shark thing with a big pointy nose. And he's trying to get back the cadet who turned out to be a traitor in the last one. So if you didn't play part 3 and you just play part 4, that might be a problem, just to let you know. And that traitor's actually not on board, apparently, at this time. He's back at the academy. So they could capture him and then, interrogate him, which would be good, which would be something to do. And you find out about this, it calls a Mercane, which I think is kind of like the Arcane from the previous edition of Spelljammer, named Vokath. And he has several vessels looking for the Tyrant ship, and apparently he wants this traitor back. And then they return to the Spelljammer Academy. The other ship does not, the pirate ship that this guy was riding on does not attack yet. And once they're back at the academy, which is kind of this big spire tower on the planet Toril, they're given some kind of mundane work before their graduation. They're scrubbing the decks of another ship. And then, of course, that pirate ship comes back. Here's the nice map of the ship. This actually looks like it might have been like a redraw from the 2nd edition one. Or they took the 2nd edition one and cleaned it up. Because you can see they don't have a lot of furniture and stuff in the room. You're kind of left to do that on your own if you want, to imagine it. And so you battle with a couple of pirates on the ship here. And they're really a distraction while the other 2 or 3 pirates go to get the traitor. And it's kind of bloody because they intend to kill him. They intend to behead him. So there's a lot of chance for combat here in this part of the adventure. And then hopefully they can free him before he's killed. But that's not a given. And they also have some choices here. There's the Githyanki pirate. I think that's the way you say it. They also have some choices. When they battle on this ship, seems the pirates want to steal the ship, they could either go and try and rescue the prisoner, or they could stay on the ship and try to ambush them when they come back. Either way, the fight is about the same. I think you're fighting at the same level. And they even give them Wizpop, who was an auto gnome they rescued last time. So they give him as a chance to help them out if need be. And if things go really, really south, there's a chance that the head of the Spelljammer Academy kind of saves their bacon at the end. And that maybe that's a little railroady in terms of there is a set outcome here. But he will show up. But if you don't like that, you don't have to use that. And at the very end, this other strange ship appears in the sky. And I think that that's meant to be a lead-in to the adventure that's coming in the Spelljammer Academy, or the Spelljammer box set that's going to come out in August. Now, that's obviously not free. And then there's graduation, and they do get graduation gifts. Each person can choose one of these gifts here. And because it's D&D Beyond, they give you the link to the description if you want to just copy and paste it onto your character sheet. And that's the end of Spelljammer Academy. So I thought this was really a great free adventure, and as I said, you have nothing to lose by checking it out. If you don't play 5th edition, I don't think it would be that hard to adapt it to an older edition. You know, you could just look up the other stats or take these stats. You know, one thing to keep in mind is 5th edition hit points are very, very high because they add the Constitution bonuses for the hit points when they're doing the non-player characters. So you may take those away, you know, cut the hit points down by a third or maybe even a half if you're trying to scale it more for an old school adventure. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. And if you'd like to check out the titles from Sharp Mountain Games, you can see our 2 in-print adventures, The Dwarven Pickup Truck and The Sky Tree, at Amazon, Lulu, or drivethrurpg. You can also check out our digital titles, which include adventures, map packs, new character classes, and character cards, and they're at drivethrurpg or the Roll20 Marketplace. Wherever you like to shop, odds are that we're there. So you know what to do. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All the links to our products are in the description below. And thanks, and we hope to see you again soon.